Welcome to Conversate, our podcast where we engage in conversation. On this week's episode, I, Aaron, and Kevin are talking about lament, and that in the Psalms, there are more psalms of lament than any other type of psalm, more than praising and thanking God, the psalmists lament. What does that mean? It actually means to turn towards God and bring our difficult situations, maybe even our complaints to Him. But not just simply complaining about God or the situation, but actually bringing them to the one that we trust can do something about it. And in doing so, God invites us to deepen our relationship with Him. So, as always, it's our goal that you will hear something in this conversation that will inspire you to start another conversation with somebody else. We hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
I
said a magician never reveals his secrets. Lily was like, she's like, you're not a magician? I was like, yeah, but I look up to them, I revere them. She's like, do you look up to them or do you look up to God?
Lily said that. That's awesome.
Just calling me out. I eventually caved.
I like a magician too. Hey, good to see you, buddy.
Greetings. Yeah, I also like magicians.
Yeah. I just watched a whole magic show.
Did you?
On YouTube. My favorite comedian.
Nate Bargatze.
Nate Bargatze. His dad is a comedian. His dad is a magician.
Yeah.
He was a clown at one point.
Okay.
And so Nate's company filmed a special of his dad doing magic.
No way.
So it's kind of, he's like a humorous. It's like clean, like, your birthday party magician. But I guess he was like really, really high ranking magician or something. I don't know, whatever that means. But
the thing they filmed though was like more like a comedy sketch almost, or
well, just like. Have you ever been to like a Christian magic show?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think at every National Youth Gathering.
Yeah.
I always try to go.
Yeah. So it's like that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just like funny, fun, pretty just easygoing stuff. Bring people up on stage.
Yeah. No one's getting sawed in half usually at these things.
No, nobody's getting sawed in half. So, anyways, it's on YouTube. It's free to watch.
Nice. What's his dad's name? Do you know?
Steven.
Was that his clown name as well?
Steven no. At some point I heard the clown name, but I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, there was a famous magician who I think just passed away.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But I don't know what his name is. Tony Carter, let's call him. I don't think that's his name. But he was 75 years old. I know that.
Wow.
I just read about it. I obviously didn't read very closely.
I guess not. Magician dead.
Yeah.
That's how far I made it.
That's it. That was it.
How do you know it wasn't a trick?
Oh, man. If he comes back, I'll tell you what. He's the great.
Oh, my goodness. Did I break that? No, we're good.
Still good.
I feel like I'm sitting a little too close to you today. Oh, well.
It's because of my casual attire.
We both got casual attire on. It's Vacation Bible School week this week.
Yeah, I'm even sporting the Rainforest Falls staff.
Mine's in the wash.
Yeah,
and,
that's
going
helpful.
to be getting delivered to me at some point.
It might be a daily recurrence. Huh?
Yeah, we got a Vacation Bible School happening at church this week. We were just before we hit record talking about a little juxtaposition of feelings between the feeling you get at Vacation Bible School, or at least the way we do it, and lamenting. There's just a lot of joy and fun and laughter and games and stuff that we're having with these kids.
You get the occasional lament. Kid doesn't get the colored water shooter that he wants. It can be a sad moment there, or in the skits sometimes there can be an element of lament, or something similar. That happened to a fella named Harold in the skit yesterday. He was fearing for his life.
Yeah, from a gorilla named Mr. Boom Boom.
Wouldn't you fear for your life?
If only you all could see.
Yes. So if you hear young children in St. Peter and Paul talking about Mr. Boom Boom in the coming weeks, they're talking about a gorilla from VBS.
Yeah.
A beloved gorilla.
Yeah, who teaches us about God.
That's right. Yeah, and yesterday he was teaching us that God created everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which actually kind of connects to that idea of lament, because part of, I think, the reason laments exist, like why would somebody lament? They lament because God created everything. He's creator. He's over all things, but something in their life experience is challenging, let's say that. Certainly challenging God being creator and also being good, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason, we just had Father's Day, too. It's the same reason kids complain to their dad,
Yeah.
It's like, well, Dad, you brought me into this world. You're supposed to take care of me, It doesn't feel like you are right now when you don't give me
exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually appreciated this going back a week now, but in your message on, so we've looked at 2 Psalms of Lament at this point. The first was Psalm 6. Psalm 6 and then Psalm 44. And you described lament sort of like because there is a little bit of, we got to be careful as we talk about lament, as we think about lament, to distinguish it from like just complaining.
Right.
Because like complaining happens all the time.
Right.
Like that's a fairly common experience, I would say, in regular life. And, just being around people, like, go a week, pay attention. You'll hear a complaint. I would almost guarantee it, at least one in a whole week. But you're maybe not as likely to hear a lament. And some of the difference there has to do with, well, kind of like the orientation of it, for one.
Yeah.
So whether you're actually turning toward God and speaking out your complaint to him, or whether it's more just kind of like muttering, about what's going on, really to nobody.
Right.
I mean, that tends to be, or it could be another person, I suppose. But even there, like you could lament to another person faithfully. So the point here is, superficially, complaint and lament might seem like the same thing. But I would distinguish between them, and I would suggest that the Bible does as well, between what's a faithful lament, or a faithful complaint, which is lament, or just muttering, complaining. And just to draw that out biblically, so like in the book of Numbers, God specifically at one point sends calamity to the Israelites because of their complaining.
Right.
So clearly there's something about complaining that can be unfaithful. But then you move forward to Job, in the Bible anyway, move forward to the book of Job, and you hear, chapters and chapters of complaint. And it'll even go out of its way, the text will say that in doing this, Job did not sin against the Lord. And so it's kind of, okay, well, how do we do this right? How do we do it, appropriately, or what's sort of inbounds, what's out of bounds? Those are all fair questions. But the way that you framed it, I really liked, which was in the sort of family setting, when they complain towards the parent, right? They're doing that most of the time because the parent is the one who can actually change their circumstance.
Or they trust that they can. I mean, a parent can't.
That's right.
I'm just making the point, a parent can't always change the circumstance.
That's right. There are times, yes, exactly. I thought about that even with my fixing the bike. I had shared that in my message about fixing my daughter's bike. She was lamenting about her bike being broken. And, I talked about the speed in which I did it, and that was a little bit of a suffering thing on her part. But it's a little bit different because, obviously every metaphor breaks down and I'm a finite human creature. Right. So like for me, part of it was I needed to learn how to do the thing to do it for my daughter. That's not true of God. It's not as though God's got to kind of like, gather his resources to make a shift. And so in some ways that could even make your complaint against him stronger because that he does have the capacity to shift and change things.
Even immediately.
Yeah, and even against what would even seem possible, This would be like the Israelites before that Numbers story when they're on the way out of Egypt. They get to a whole body of water, and they were trying to escape, and they've got armies coming behind them. And there, it sort of seems like we're done for. Yeah. God, that's not an impediment to God.
Yeah.
But just like that metaphor breaks down in that I'm finite and limited and God isn't, we also have to be careful about, or just remember, I think it's helpful to remember, I'm also not a perfect father, but God is. So what I'm trying to say is, his patience in whatever circumstance we're facing, I guess it sort of draws out from us a deeper trust in his goodness. I mean, that's where we have to be driven if we're not going to despair completely, is to know that he doesn't have some sort of, careless, malevolent, orientation towards us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, both in both sermons on lament, you and I both talked about turning, like turning towards God. That lament is a turn towards God, not away from him. So we turn towards him in lament, in trust, right? That we actually trust that he's the one that can do something about it. And that, like, it kind of gets me thinking, I don't in your in any classes at seminary, did you ever read anything by John Gottman, a marriage researcher?
I never did in a class at seminary, but I am familiar with John Gottman. Why am I familiar with John Gottman? I'm familiar with John Gottman. I think through my counselor.
Yeah. So John Gottman is a prolific marriage researcher, and he's written a couple of books and kind of became most prolific for being able to determine it through just brief interactions with a married couple of like the health of their marriage and like if they're going to succeed or get divorced, basically. He's not a Christian marriage researcher. This is just kind of secular science stuff, but it's very practical and applicable. But kind of what he noticed is that in a marriage, there's kind of four warnings of a marriage that's not functioning well. And let me see if I can remember, but it's criticism, stonewalling, defensiveness, and contempt. So it's kind of like criticism is if you're just, that's like the complaining without relationship. It's just nitpicking at the thing, just mumbling about this thing. The stonewalling is like when you go silent and you're not going to engage. Defensiveness is when you are going to fight on your own behalf, but not necessarily listen to the other person. Just kind of bring your, because you feel attacked, you're going to posture up. And then the contempt piece is basically like when you start to think less of the other person, just for whatever reason. It might be because the criticisms have mounted, the defensiveness is so strong that you just like, you can't even see the person anymore. You like see the person through the lens of the conflict or whatever.
Yeah. Caricaturize.
Yeah.
Yep.
So those are kind of the warning signs, but he basically said in the research that the ones that stay successful are the ones that stay turned towards one another. And that's kind of his common language, that a couple that remains turned towards one another can succeed. Now, that doesn't mean that they're always going to be getting along perfectly. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have stuff they're dealing with. But it's this it's this willingness that we're in this thing together. We're staying turned towards one another. All those other postures, it's somebody turning away from the other. Even defensiveness, where it seems like, well, that's turning towards somebody. You're actually turning away because you're
kind of smothering in a way.
Yeah.
Like you're not really receiving what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah. So if both parties are willing to turn towards one another, and when I've talked to couples about this in pre-marriage, that doesn't mean that there's not like sometimes people think of like stonewalling or the silent treatment as like, well, I just need a moment, Well, stonewalling and the worst kind is like, no, I'm not even gonna engage with this conversation, There's a difference in like a kind of a healthy conflict where it might be like, well, I need some space.
Yeah.
But when I say that, we are gonna talk about it, and I'm still in this relationship.
Yeah.
But I just need to breathe for a moment. But again, in that whole idea, it's this staying turned towards one another, that we are engaged with one another. And so I think about that with with this lament piece. It's like, we remain turned towards our God because he's always turned towards us. He's always, he's faithful to us. He's faithful to his promises. And so like the writer of Hebrews will say, fix your eyes on Jesus, right? The author and perfecter of your faith. Like just, keep looking at him. Jesus calls us to follow him, right? So we go where he goes. And so we stay engaged in the relationship. And because of that, and because of everything you said, that we trust that God is creator and, powerful, authoritative. That's where when we face things along the way where it seems like experientially it might feel like he's not keeping up his end of the bargain, where we can and we should, and we're invited to call out to him and say, hey, I thought your word said you're going to I thought you said you would have steadfast love for me. This doesn't feel like steadfast love. But if you think about that, what that actually does is it forces me to think about the promises of God. And so when I think about the promises of God, I'm coming back to the promises of God and who he's revealed himself to be. Right. So if I'm thinking about the promises of God, then hopefully in that my mind shifts and I go, right, you are a faithful God. You are the God of promise. So again, I want you to know, God, this is who I believe that you are, because you've shown it time and time again. But also in lamenting, I'm reflecting on his promises, which then is good for my heart.
And Psalm 44 is a little bit unique in that it doesn't end on, let's say, a positive turn. It ends on this sort of like calling God to action, like rouse yourself. It does end with talking about his steadfast love, but a lot of the Psalms of Lament do exactly what you're saying in their movement, in their flow. They go through this kind of period and this raw and honest sharing, but then they will move into a remembrance of who God is, and then a lot of the Lament Psalms will end on a kind of return back to trust. Basically like, hey, we've covered that things aren't the way we want them to be, but we're still going to hold on. Because you are who you are. And to go back to the example of the Israelites, because I think it's really common. It's really interesting to think about the way they respond and some other very common responses to God present day, which is, again, this idea of what you just said of driving deeper into yourself, those characteristics of God, who God is, right? So you're saying, my life it's not going the way that it would seem to go if you are, blank, 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 fill in characteristic of God that you're aware of. But like the Israelites, when they leave Egypt and things start getting rough, in the wilderness, they'll say things like, did you just bring us out of Egypt to kill us, God? So basically what they're saying about the characteristic of God is that humans are his little playthings, and he really doesn't have any good intentions for them, and he doesn't care about them. So like that's one comment they make. They'll also talk about how good they had it in Egypt. They'll say, didn't we sit around and have these great stews of onions and, whatever, potatoes. I don't know if they say that, but they think back to their time. But remember, their time was a time of slavery. They were under the yoke of a Pharaoh who did hate them, whose care for them, was very clear in his mandate of killing the Hebrew baby boys. Like he demonstrably proved he was not a good master over them, and yet they're sort of reminiscing about it. That's very, it strikes me as similar to this same problem of pain in the present day. You'll get people who, instead of turning toward God, instead of like facing him, when they look at the difficulties in the world, they'll more quickly move to a place of, let's say, despair or apathy, and just say, like, I see this trouble. I'm not, instead of looking at you or even, investigating who you are, I'm just going to, based on that experience, say, nah, you can't be real. You don't exist. I look at my world and, nope, that doesn't make sense that you're there. Yeah. And so it's kind of this, like, instead of going back to Gottman, instead of turning and engaging.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost like the stonewalling approach, right?
Exactly.
Where it's just like, I don't believe you.
Exactly. Like, I'm not even going to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, again, it's neat that this lament, it dives us deeper into the character of God and just the scriptures, because that's where we're going to learn the character of God. And something the scriptures will also demonstrate for us is kind of like a way to understand the brokenness of the world, right? Like our expectations of our existence should not be based on what we know from the Bible to be like, oh yeah, everything's idyllic and great and there's no trouble and everyone gets along. It's like, wait a minute, this isn't the story we've been telling ourselves. This isn't the story we've been reading. You know, we know that there's problems in the world, and the Bible gives us the direction to understand that. Then it's a question of what we do with that, you know, whether we turn towards Him, and if not, and this was kind of a big point in my message on the Psalm 44 is, well, you're going to look to something.
Of course.
You're going to look to something.
Yeah, well, I appreciated that at the tail end of your sermon where you kind of, well, you did a good job because you didn't make any promises, but you kind of let's see, you sort of said maybe this is happening because of this or because of this, because and we don't say any of those things with a guarantee of like, because this happened,
Here's exactly what God's doing in your life.
Yeah. That's not what we were after, but
no.
I appreciated the way that you said it. And there was one thing in particular that resonated, which was almost like maybe this time will allow you to recognize what things that you have been turning towards that aren't helpful.
Yeah.
And I think that's very fair. I think that's very fair.
I mean, you think about the gospel, right? Think about Peter. He was a strong, follower of Jesus, motivated big time to follow him. To watch Jesus get betrayed and taken away was suffering for him. This was not the way he wanted things to go. And it exposed for him, his faith in himself, his overestimation of his faith in himself, And then, of course, he denies Jesus, and it's a troubling experience. I mean, he goes out and he weeps. But it's in Jesus. We're talking about God's orientation to us. I don't know how to overemphasize the point that we're so blessed because of Jesus, like through Jesus. He is the image of the invisible God. And so he gives us that confidence to trust in God's turning towards us. Because Jesus, he's not going to turn his back on Peter after that happens. Right. He's still going to turn towards him. He's going to come to him on the beach. He's going to restore him. All right, I didn't mean to, I feel like I cut you off there, but I'm just talking about the suffering exposing the things that we turn to. Yeah.
Just in the last week, well, and we're actually done lamenting after this Sunday. We're gonna
never again.
But it's in the conversations I've been having with people has been really resonant with people. Like, and in what I would say on the human emotional side of things, from very, very, very difficult stuff to what you might say is like, I don't know, a bump in the road.
Sure.
Experientially, people have told me, reflecting on the Psalms in this way during this thing that they're going through has been really good. So I guess I just want to validate that and bringing this up and giving people permission and language to lament and space to lament.
Yeah.
I think we live in a society that, oh my goodness. Well, I don't know. It's funny because people lament all the time.
It's a double edge, yeah.
People complain about
That's right.
everything. And yet we do absolutely everything to eliminate any kind of suffering.
Totally.
And so it's funny because we'll just busy ourselves with what, schedules and work and all this stuff so we don't have to deal with reality. I don't know. Or people will, smoke or drink or gamble or whatever so that they can numb out and distract themselves.
Scroll on their phone endlessly.
There you go. Or shop, like
you said,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we can that's looking at other things, right? Making other gods. Right?
Yeah. And even there, I want to, make sure it's always a little bit nuanced, right? Like, a thing is a God when it becomes the source or the source of our good or like our refuge, our protection. And so like all these things we're talking about, it's not like they're bad inherently.
Right.
They're just bad when we are starting to go to them instead of, in place of. Actually, especially if there's something that like we ought to be facing. Yeah. And it's human nature not to want to face the difficult things in life.
Right.
Like, especially in our culture, that's not the natural move. And so it's not surprising that we turn to all these things. But God, like those things aren't going to save or redeem us. Likely. It's not likely that scrolling through, lots of TikTok videos is going to help you overcome really any challenge in your existence, except maybe like, oh, hey, I found a good recipe for something. We were thinking about mixing it up.
I didn't know you could get recipes on TikTok.
I don't know. Who knows what's on? I'm guessing.
I never talked or ticked. So
yeah, I thought this was a clock app.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. But yeah. It's just
so you're saying we live in a culture where either you kind of see a complete aversion to that which is difficult, a complete not facing it and trying to deny it and et cetera, or maybe kind of the relentless muttering. Like it's still not really like facing it. It's sort of just like, it kind of is. It's certainly influenced by whatever negative emotions we have about our troubles.
Yeah, well, it's the needless commenting on social media posts that out of your own angst or whatever in an anonymous fashion, that kind of stuff, to gossiping about your coworker around the metaphorical water cooler, and instead of actually just going and talking to the person about the situation, right? We do.
Right.
People just.
Well, there you go. Back to Gottman. Yeah. Like what a brilliant example. You could turn the hard thing, but the helpful thing would probably be to turn toward the coworker. Yeah. Engage in a relationship with them and maybe work through whatever the thing is.
Lament is about dealing with conflict, really.
Really, exactly.
It's like conflict management. It's like you can't, like God invites you to bring healthy, almost healthy conflict, right?
Oh, totally. So, yeah. And I would say
but that's something that so many people are averse to, but healthy conflict is so good. And we know this in many other avenues. You think about a coach and their athlete, like the coach is going to call out the athlete. The athlete might be frustrated about that, but in that, if done well, that's going to just tighten things up so much,
That's right.
We put our own bodies through conflict. If you were physically active, you stress your own body, literally tearing muscles so that they can be rebuilt, even stronger.
And I would contend that the deepest relationships we have are the ones in which there have been conflicts, but you've turned toward and worked through.
Of course, because you recognize that you can trust the other person, that they love you enough to actually engage and not run away, and
right.
And so you can just, if you can do that, then it makes the enjoyable stuff even much more enjoyable, right? It's just like, I don't know. Yeah.
And how cool? So how cool is it that God says, and you can do that with me,
right?
Yeah. Like you want to deepen your relationship, bring your troubles to me, man. Yeah. You don't have to hold them. Come tell them. Lay it out before me. Yeah, it's a great tradition. It's a great tradition of processing that which is looking at that which is difficult, not ignoring, not hiding behind things, but facing life as it actually is. And that's so freeing. I think that's what maybe those conversations you've been having, like when you're in the midst of suffering. I mean, the thing that'll trap you the most is feeling alone in it, like feeling like no one else has ever experienced this.
What's the devil? That's Devil Playbook 101. Wants you to feel alone.
Yep. So knowing that I don't have to hide it, but I can I don't have to hide it from God. Like I can share it with Him. I can lay it before Him. He's still going to accept me, no matter what it is that I'm facing. Incredible invitation.
Yeah, and so just as a reminder, again, a lot of people listen to this podcast separate from the sermons and stuff too. So we've talked in these sermons regarding lament that as a follower of Jesus, the people of God wrote these laments in history, and then people after them have continued to pray those same psalms of lament in their times of lament, even just verbatim, like actually just reading those words. So just as an encouragement to you, this is good biblical historic practice that you can do if you are in a season of life where you are kind of situationally just dealing with some tough stuff, and you don't have words to speak, or you don't feel like you know exactly what you want to say to God. You can read the Psalms and pray them as they are. And in doing so, know that you are praying along with the family of God all throughout history, and that God invites that, and he can handle it. That's just, I think that's helpful, because again, sometimes even strong Christian people sometimes don't know how to pray. It's just like, or we don't know, maybe can't find the words to put to the depth of the situation that we're in. I just got off the phone with somebody that's going through a real tough time. Doesn't live here locally, but gets our emails and stuff, and actually was like we sent out some links to like poor Bishop Hooper and Tanner Olson and stuff, and wanted to catch up with me, and just said they've been actually listening to those things in the midst of this real lament and stuff. And so I guess I just want you to know that that's okay. It's okay to do. It's good to do. Pray the Psalms, learn God's faithfulness, and draw ever closer to him, So,
amen, brother.
Yeah. I don't remember what kind of psalm we're going after next.
I'm trying to think myself.
It's there. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. You'll hear about it.
You'll hear about it.
And if you're here around town, 10 a.m. this Sunday. Don't come at 8:30 or 11. Remember, outdoor worship on the lawn, 10 o'clock, pulled pork sandwiches.
Boom.
Yep.
Boom, boom.
Mister. Right. We're getting ready now.
All right. Did we ever talk about that in this episode? That there's a gorilla named Mr. Boom Boom? Did we say that out loud?
I don't know if we did. You better clarify now.
I can't remember. I can't remember when we pressed record. There's a gorilla at Vacation Bible School. I trained him. He's tame. He teaches us about God. He wears clothes. His name is Mr. Boom Boom. So there you go.
Here's to Mr. Boom Boom.
Peace.